safe inside our homes. I hope you all are doing okay. Something's happening here with my camera. It's kind of buffering and doing strange things. I think we're okay. All right, good. We're going here. So listen, we've been blasting out everywhere these ads for our webinar that's coming up. We are so excited because I've wanted to do this for, oh goodness, at least a year, that I've been trying to pull these pieces for this webinar together to put it out there. And it's actually happening, and it's happening in the best, most perfect time when it is most needed. So see that providential timing. It's all good. Let me tell you what it is, what we are doing. So it's called the Prepared Series, and it is about the 3 pillars of education: the child, the prepared adult, and the prepared environment. Oh, a little background here. I was homeschooled, grew up being homeschooled, but still when my oldest child was still just a toddler, I knew that I wanted to go about homeschooling in a very different way than I was homeschooled. And I knew that there had been a lot of changes in the homeschool community since I had graduated, and I wanted to get out there and find out exactly what was going on. So I started going to every conference, every book sale, every seminar, everything that I could go to, just to learn what was new and what people were doing now. And when I stumbled across Montessori's 3 pillars of education, it revolutionized what I was doing. And I say this to every single parent before you begin homeschooling. If you think that the most important thing that you need to do to figure out how to homeschool is going to be buy your curriculum, set your schedule, sign up for your co-ops and other activities, that is not the right place to start. You are thinking about the curriculum as the end. You are thinking in terms of what the industrial school system does. They teach to the test, right? And completing the textbook is the goal. But that's not our goal in education. The goal in education, as we all know when we stop and think about it, is for the child to actually learn something. It's for the child to actually to go from being a child to maturing into the adult species, fully independent, fully capable, and with a full capacity for human happiness. That is the purpose of education. So we can't really educate the child unless we know who that child is. Who is that child? How did God make that child? How does that child learn best? Through the way God made him. We have to understand childhood development. We have to understand the way information is received and processed. And it might surprise you when you really get into the nature of the child, because the way our school system has been designed to educate children is absolutely at war with the nature of the child. And when you understand this, you are free to go about education in a completely different way. And then there's something else that you have to take a look at. It's not just understanding the child. Then you have to be the prepared adult in that child's life. And there are so many different ways to prepare yourself. You have to prepare yourself, obviously, with the knowledge that you need to teach that child. But it goes even deeper and further than that. You have to prepare yourself with your schedule and with your lesson plans and with everything that goes into education. But then you have to prepare yourself emotionally, mentally, spiritually to show up for this child and understand that more than any textbook, more than any experience, more than any other teacher in that child's life, that child is going to learn from you more than anything else he will ever learn from. He's going to learn from you. He's going to learn from your mannerisms. He's going to learn from your patience or lack thereof. He's going to learn from the words that you use. And now this is the really, really scary thing, but also the beautiful thing is that you are that mold that the child is formed in. How many of us look in the mirror and we see our parents? And that may be a wonderful thing, and that may be a very scary thing, and that we might feel like we need to change that. But it's hard. But as parents, knowing that what we do and how we behave will be the mold that will form the adult child as he grows up, gives us the power to say, you know what, if I demonstrate patience, he will see patience and will be able to be patient. If I demonstrate grace and courtesy and kindness and a love for learning and diligence in my work and applying myself to a challenge, all of these things, as I demonstrate that for my child, he has the tools he needs to do it for himself. All right, third pillar of education is the prepared environment. A prepared environment is not incidental. It is one of the 3 most important supports. Your child is going to absorb from the things around him. Now, is the environment around him chaotic, cluttered, dirty? Is the environment around him stressful? Or is it beautiful? Is it ordered? Is it peaceful? Because this is part of what forms him. When the environment is suited to the child's nature, which encourages him to have freedom of motion, he can learn by the way he's designed to learn. If it offers freedom of choice, he begins to learn how to make good decisions and make choices. He learns to be decisive. When it offers freedom for him, access for him to do things independently, he learns to self-instruct. And this is how we learn to set up our environment so that he can do what is most beneficial for his nature and learning. So these are the 3 supports of education: the child, the prepared adult, and the prepared environment. But that's not all we've got going on here in this webinar series. I am so excited about the instructors that we have brought on board who will be presenting during this webinar. We have the very women who, when I went out, when my oldest was just about 2 years old, and I began asking questions, how do I homeschool and how do I go about this? And the women who inspired me the most and taught me about the 3 pillars initially, those are the ladies who are coming in here. Maggie Radzik. Maggie Radzik has been a Montessori instructor for so long, and she is one of the most inspirational speakers that I've ever heard. She has such a gentle depth of knowledge that will astound you. You are just going to want to just listen to everything she has to say. You're going to eat up, get your notebook and pen and paper, and you're going to be completely blown out of your chair by hearing what she has to say about the nature of the child. Laura Atticello is again, she's a Montessori teacher, and she's been teaching in classrooms, and she trains catechists in Catechism of the Good Shepherd. And she will be talking about the prepared adult. Now, the prepared adult is such a critical thing, as she talks about how to make sure you are prepared every day before the children show up, before they wake up, so that you are prepared to be able to go with the flow, pivot when the unexpected happens, how you can decide beforehand how you're going to react to the setbacks and challenges, and how you're going to encourage the children to be independent and to be free and to be that loving face of God for them. And finally, we have January Donovan, who is also going to be talking about part 2 of the Prepared Adult, how to show up for your children. And she's going to talk about the mindset and the schedule management and the home management and all these things that we need to know to be that prepared adult, to be ready to receive our children in the morning, each morning when they come to us. I will be presenting the final webinar on the prepared environment. Now, when I went through training for Montessori instruction and Catechism of the Good Shepherd, I thought that the prepared environment was all about the beautiful materials and beautiful resources. And I tried, when I came into my home, I actually tried setting it up like a Montessori classroom, and it absolutely failed. It was beautiful, but it didn't work in the home. And so I'm excited to come in here and tell you that, yes, these things, these beautiful, beautiful things in a Montessori classroom, well, that's all great in a Montessori classroom, but the home is not the classroom. The home never will be the classroom, and you have to adapt what you do in the home. The principles still apply. The principles of beauty, of order, of accessibility, of freedom of choice, of all these things, these principles still apply, but it looks different in the home. So I will be here to show you, walk you through the mistakes that I learned so you don't repeat those mistakes, and then show you what has worked, what has been very, very good for the kids. All right, so our first webinar begins this coming Thursday, and it will be at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. We will post right underneath here a link to the registration, and you don't want to miss this. You really don't want to miss this. I don't care if you are I say, no, Montessori is just not for me. This isn't about Montessori. This is about knowing your child, being the prepared adult, setting up a prepared environment. This is really not a Montessori based education. This is just about this foundation of education, no matter who you are. Even if you are not even homeschooling, but you just have children in the home, this is a very important principle. And it's also, don't fool yourself and think that just because you might have only preschoolers right now that this is, no, this is the right time. Education begins at birth. And this is the right time. If you do not have school-age children, this is the time to really invest in your preparation so you can be that prepared adult. You don't want to be behind the 8 ball once you started education. Get prepared now. Know who that child is now. Get your environment set up, and you will have a far more fruitful experience as a homeschool parent. All right, guys, I look forward to seeing you then. In the meantime, stay safe and happy homeschooling.